So today I'm going to do some basic maintenance on my 98 Chevy Silverado here. I'm still on the quest to reach 300,000 miles, and this is just another basic maintenance step that you can do while in reaching the high mileage vehicles. So what I'm going to do today is I'm going to check the bearing on the tensioner pulleys, tensioner down here, and on the idler pulleys on the engine bay here. So basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to release the tension of the belt, and I'm going to check the bearing and the slop, and also the water pump. And AC compressor usually doesn't go bad like that, or the alternator, but I'm also going to check for the slop and basically all the components on the engine here, and see if any of the bearings are going bad, see if anything's about ready to go out on me. The way that you go about releasing the tension on the Serpentine belt here is, what I'd have is just a regular 3/8 inch breaker bar, and on the tensioner pulley down here there is a square slot that fits. It's for a 3/8 inch ratchet, and basically you just push that down, and then right there you see the belt loosened up there. Release the tension, you can slide it off. I think it's easiest to slide it off on the idler pulley here, and then once you have that off, then you basically have it off. So I'm going to go out doing that. Now I have my belt off, pulled that up around the fan housing here, and so I'm looking at, this is the idler pulley here, and so what I'm showing here, it doesn't show very well. You can kind of see that there is some slop in there. So the bearing on my idler here is shot, so that's going to need replaced. And now I have about the same amount of play on my tensioner pulley here, so both of those are going to need to go. When I try to see if there's any play in any of my other components on the engine here, they're all really solid. With the water pump here, it's a lot easier just to grab the fan and give that a wiggle, but I have absolutely zero play in that. So right now I only have play in the bearings on the idler pulley and the tensioner. So I went ahead and I already checked this once, so I already have those on hand, so I'm going to go ahead and throw those on now. I have both my idler and my tensioner both off now, and just to reconfirm that the bearings are out, I can take that, I can wiggle it, and I can feel all that play in there. That just tells me right there for sure that the bearing is shot on my idler here, and then again on my tensioner. There's just a lot of play in there that you can feel, and so I know for sure that the bearing is shot also on the tensioner. So it's a good investment that I made to get the idler and tensioner replaced, so I'm going to get those put on. With the tensioner, I went ahead and got the full assembly instead of just the individual pulley. So basically what this does for me is I get the bolt along with it, and I get the spring unit on the tensioner here. That, you know, it wasn't bad on the one in the unit that I had on here, but if the bearing's going bad, I don't see a reason to say that spring unit's going to last too much longer after that bearing goes bad. So for just an extra, I think it was $10 or $15 at O'Reilly's, I got the full unit. So I'm going to put this on, and just one thing to keep in mind when you're putting that on, I'll try to get down there on the right spot. There, you see that the main hole there, that's the bolt hole, and that hole off to the side, that's for the guide. And you got to make sure that you get that unit in there, and that's for the spring unit there to be functioning. So you get your bolt hole and then the guide, so that's what is the resistance when you go to tension your belt. When you turn this, that guide stays in place, and you can see the play that's on your tensioner there. So that's what you use to tension your Serpentine belt. So on this idler pulley here, I'd highly recommend getting a full assembly, or one buying the bolt that comes with it separately instead of trying to take the bolt off of here, because there's a lock collar on here. That way that I got it off was I basically just took all these tabs on the bolt there and bent them up off the bolt, and I feel like that's highly recommended against. But for as far as I am, how many miles I have in this truck and how much farther it has left to go to reach 300,000, I just want to get it there. So I'm going to just reuse this, and I'm going to bend those tabs right back on. So that's just how it's going to work. I have the new idler on here, and basically what I did to get that tightened down was I just tightened down that bolt really good, and the lock collar on the back side basically tightened itself. And just to double check that the bearings are good here, I'm just taking that and giving it a wiggle, and everything's tight now with the new idler and tensioner here. So I'm going to put the belt back on, and this project should be done. If you're struggling on figuring out the order again on how to get the serpentine belt back on, at least for me, on the radiator cover right here, we have this little diagram right here, and this shows the entire, every accessory that could be on your engine here, AC and non-AC models. And basically it shows that you got the idler and the tensioner. You see where the arrow is for the tensioner there. And if you just follow this, you're guaranteed you get it right. So basically the way I do it is I get everything on there, even around the alternator here, around the tensioner, but I leave the idler off, and then when I bring that tensioner in, it's easy to slide in underneath the idler there, just because this is a smooth surface around it. So in the process of driving close to 300,000 miles, like the way I'm getting here, I'm up to 278,000 there. Basically, you're going to have a lot of run time with your service engine soon light on. And in my case, I have actually beat it now, and the bulb no longer functions. So the light bulb actually went out on my service engine soon because it was just on so much. So I take that as a win here, because right now it looks like there's nothing wrong with the truck. You see on the below the battery there is where the service engine soon is supposed to be, but this is when all the gauges are on and it's not on. So that tells me for sure that the light on the service engine soon is out, because when I double check with my reader, I see 6 codes come up for emissions and whatnot. So I have outlasted the service engine soon light, and the truck is still running.